Hey everybody, and it's 141 East, which is 1041 in the West. Not going to be a long live stream. There's a lot on my plate today. Let's get to it. I have to confirm that, well, hey, look, Las Vegas Stadium Authority had Don Webb, the construction manager for the Oakland Raiders, come forward and tell the world what I have told you for months. Again, the Las Vegas Stadium Authority had Don Webb come forward and tell you what I have explained for months. Months. And I said simply that the section of steel, okay, the section of steel, whole section, not just of steel, the whole stadium, the southern western part of the stadium on the Polaris Avenue side of the property, close to the airport, not north but south, is missing steel that should have been in there. Huge, 40, 50 feet high, 60 feet high beams of steel. The same ones that form the curtain wall, as we call it in architecture, or are forming the curtain wall for the stadium. That piece I have consistently said is not there. I ran the McCarthy model to show you that it was supposed to have been there in October. I've consistently shown where it's not there, okay? Not there. I have showed you where there's less earth-moving equipment on site than there is at LA Stadium. I've been on this and on this and on this and on this. And Don Webb comes and confirms it. So for all of you who seem to get off on the idea that I'm consistently wrong about things, let me give you yet another bellyache. In fact, let's do a little inventory, shall we? And no, I know it, some people say, look, you shouldn't brag. The Lord says you shouldn't brag, right? But Lord, it is a little hard to be humble when you get beat up all the time, all right? But I just have to set the record straight. First of all, I said as far back as April 15th of 2017 that the hotel stadium tax rate of 88/100ths of 1% was too small to bring in the needed monies to afford the anticipated bond debt service plus the debt coverage ratio, or excuse me, times the debt coverage ratio on a monthly basis. Oh, you're wrong, Zenny. You're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. I said it wasn't going to bring in enough money compared to what was shown. And then the actual numbers came in, and I was proven to be correct. Okay? I was proven to be correct. Then I said, hey, Las Vegas has a gigantic visitation problem. Oh, no, it doesn't, Mr. Abraham. That's just because of the shooting. I said, no, it's not the shooting. It's happened since before the shooting, June of 2017. The shooting happened, sadly, October 1, 2017. Then everyone looked at the numbers and said, wait a minute, he's right. Then I consistently said that the stadium is behind schedule. And I explained that there are a number of reasons for this. And I also explained that the Las Vegas Stadium Authority and Mortensen have been quietly moving back the opening date and the completion date. First, it was May of 2020. Then that was May was supposed to be completion. Then May got moved to June. Then June got moved to July, and then now July is August 4th is my birthday. I should be complimented. They said, all right, August 4th, okay? But hey, folks. And then someone stuck in that they expected the first game to be played in the stadium on October 6th. And Don Webb says, I don't know where that came from. And if you read my blogs on this, my blog postings on Oakland News Now on this, I said that date should not be there. That someone made a mistake, that there's nothing to justify it. The first UNLV game is scheduled for August 29th, 2020, not August 6th. I then said that August 6th is the Thursday before the first week of preseason for NFL, and that starts with the Hall of Fame game, which is always played in Canton and not Las Vegas. So someone massively screwed up trying to just make it look good, and I said, hey, this is just some PR trick. All right? But the big unanswered question, the question that was not dealt with at that meeting, the question on my mind, it should be on the state authority's mind, and I'm certain it is this one. How the heck did local vlogger Jedi Rich Lightlauer get on the property and cruise around like that? Just cruise around like that, okay? Without detection and make all of those videos. A friend of mine who runs stadium said, hey, look, that's a breach. Can you imagine what he possibly could have in his car? Can you imagine what he could have done if he were the kind of individual that or of a mind to do something negative or bad? That no one in the Vegas media raised that as an issue, except me. I'm not considered Vegas media. Is crazy. What the fuck is the society coming to? Excuse me for cursing, but okay? But someone's got to get mad about this sort of thing. That's ridiculous. You don't know what he could have had in that car. No idea whatsoever. So as far as I'm concerned, you got trying to cover it up because it's just eking out. It just can't help itself. Just, it's just oozing to get out the information, the news. Hey, good news travels fast. Sadly, bad news travels faster. But the best way to deal with bad news is to get it out front. Don't delay it. Don't try to cover it up. Don't make it look bad. Don't deny it. Just deal with it. And the Las Vegas Stadium Authority is not doing that. If I were running the Stadium Authority and that happened, I'd have had a press release out like that. Boom. I wouldn't have waited until the Stadium Authority meeting. I wouldn't have waited until Don Webb. I would have had a communication out myself. That's the way you handle that. Right now, as far as I'm concerned, the Stadium Authority, which was once really awesome and stellar in its operation, is now awful. You're giving reports that were filed January of this year on Thursday. You're giving me a stadium hotel tax revenue update of numbers that came in January, and this is March. So you have it's not so much that you don't have any idea where you are in terms of the hotel stadium tax, but then it looked like you were the closest you've been between revenues and expenses in the line that you've ever been in your history, which means, and the trend was downward, which means the next one I expect to see, you're in deficit. Red alert, red alert. But by having these meetings spread out, by having these reporting periods spread out, guess what you're doing? You're smoothing out You're delaying the bad news that's coming out of it, thinking we'll just push this out some, right? That's what they're doing. We'll just push this out some. Folks, that's horrible. I was about to use the term criminal, but that's not fair. It's horrible because it's correctable, all right? It's correctable, okay? So this was a bad week for the stadium authority. And you know, the other question is this. What is, let's see, if I type Las Vegas weather, right? What does the Las Vegas weather look like? It's 54 degrees. It's partly cloudy. Saturday, it's partly cloudy. There's fortunately no forecast of rain. They managed to get away with not having rain. It was supposed to rain yesterday. It didn't rain. It rained in the hills. Okay? It rained in the hills. But it's still partly cloudy, and now we have the first day of spring. It was sunny. We had 20% precipitation tonight coming up. Well, 20%, yeah, that was Thursday night. But other than that, nothing. Nothing. There's been scattered showers, and that's about it. 10-day weather forecast shows no forecast rain until April 3rd, and there's a 10% chance of rain. That's April 3rd. But they've already had more rain this year than in history for that area. It's been crazy. It's crazy. And snow. All right. And snow. So all of that has pushed the project behind. Yet Don Webb has the temerity to say, well, we're still on schedule. How? All right. Yeah. As Tom Caller just wrote, right. I said it a long time ago. There are problems, but it's always we are on schedule. Well, on schedule to finish on time. How can you be on schedule and you keep pushing the time back? J-Dub says, so in your opinion, what does this do for the ultimate finishing date? It continued. Well, it does what we see it doing before our eyes. I mean, again, J-Dub, what was the original finishing date? It was May 20th. Excuse me. May 2, 2020, excuse me, right? That was the first. Then it was June. Then it was July. Then it was July 31st. Now it's August 4th. And then Don Webb says, I don't know where August 6th came from in terms of a game, which means that, and no one asked, hey, what about this claim that's going to be a 3-month move-in date, right? They didn't deal with that one. Oh, no. No. Joseph Armendariz says, to liven up the mood a little bit, I just saw Us, the Jordan Peele movie. Awesome, but I don't want to talk about that right now. I want to keep it on this. I don't want to liven up the mood. I can liven up the mood by talking about this because, and I'll tell you why, Joseph, because so many people have tried to hammer me who are out of Vegas saying I'm wrong about this or that. I am not going to do that. I'm going to be my own cheerleader because nobody else has the gumption to say, hey, you know what? You owe Zinni an apology. All right? Like, so Tommy White comes up, tells News 3 that, you know, I'm making up rumors. Remember that? Hello? Remember that? Do you remember that? Hello? Okay? All right? So to News 3's credit, and Steve Wolford, you know, put that out there, but to the credit of the digital director or editor, excuse me, she took that video down, took mention of my name off of it, and moved forward and let Tommy White, you know, just sit out there with that. I don't know where those rumors are coming from. Well, hey, cat's out of the bag. All right, there has been a problem. All Tommy White had to do was say, I don't know, and leave it alone. He didn't have to bring me into it. But he did. And then Rich Villada of the Review Journal tagged me on Twitter to say, hey, this is bad news about you, as if he's happy. I block Rich. I don't talk to him anymore because I've been nice to him. All right. I've even sent him private messages about information, mistakes he made. Regarding the stadium. Here's another example. I told he and this guy, Mitch Akers, who was then of the Las Vegas Sun, is now of the Review Journal, that the guaranteed maximum price for the stadium was just north of 1.6 billion. No, it's not. It's 1.8 billion. I said, no, you don't understand what the guaranteed maximum price is. That's not the total price. It's different. It refers to the shell. Oh, no, it doesn't. I said, look, I've been through this before, longer than you have. That's what it is. It took, once again, Don Webb to come up and say, basically, Zenny's right. All right? Okay? Did they say, oh, I'm sorry? No. You see what I'm saying here? This happens again, and a frickin' again. Deal with it, folks. There's some things that I know that I'm confident about. I'm not going to put out information about stuff that I'm not, an expert in, that I don't have any background in. My background's in urban planning. All right? Thank you. Murmur Garcia's good job, Zenny62. Thank you. I am rightfully pissed about this. I mean, these folks have went through heaven. Not even heaven. Heaven's got nothing to do with this. These folks that went through hell and back trying to make me look bad. Using fake Twitter accounts, trying to say, oh, you were wrong about the NFL thing and their vote and all that. And then you've got all this dude who claimed he had we had a friendly, I thought it was a friendly wager. And then we never discussed the terms. It turned out to be a conditional move, right? And I thought, but then on top of that, he takes what he thinks was my personal information, puts that out on Twitter. I wanted to get rid of his Twitter account. Under that, as far as I'm concerned, hey man, I got no contact with you, no bet. Don't ask me to do anything. He still keeps asking. Forget him. All right. In the hopes I'll use his name. Screw it. All right. So, hey, all right. Joseph Mamdura says, Ramon says, can't wait to meet Job in Vegas, maybe in September. Going to be working there? Joseph says, this whole stadium situation sounds like sabotage. I'm not sure by whom. Raider haters? No, I don't think it's that. Blackman says, just keep doing your thing. Thank you. Thank you. I don't think it's that. It's not sabotage at all. The fact of the matter is they started too quickly, all right? It's not, look, when all else fails, reach for the simple explanation, all right? Javid Shaw says, when you talk about is the irrelevant, the stadium's being built, what does it matter if it's delayed so Oakland keeps to get its team longer? That's why it's to extension at Oakland. But I don't get what your point is, okay? You say, David, when you talk about is irrelevant, the stadium is being built, what does it matter if it's delayed? It matters a great deal. It matters a great deal. It's news that it's delayed. It matters to me. It matters to others. All right? You can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't say, well, the stadium is under construction. But then someone else says, well, geez, it's supposed to be finished when? And you don't know. All right? And David, I know doggone well you don't know. Okay, I know that for a fact. You don't know. So my point is, it's but the one thing that is evident by the fact that we have this engagement here is that it's news. It's news. Hello, McFly. It's news. Patrick in Blackman says they started too quickly, and they're trying to finish this project even quicker. And there's another problem. That's money. Joseph Amandura says, at the very least, I think it matters for financial reasons. Thank you. It speaks to the future of the Raiders. In fact, David obviously does not know that, and welcome to Zenny62, everyone. David obviously does not know that the Raiders had a pay-go fund that they were to dig out of to use in constructing the stadium until the bond money kicked in, until they got the proceeds, which is, I believe, was $564 million. Now consider the total amount they're supposed to get is $750 million. Folks, it hasn't reached that, all right? Now they'll point to something that says, well, actually, this is totally over it. It's $762 million when you add money from other sources that have been poured in. But the money from the bond issue itself does not equal $750 million. It's approximately $10, $11 million short. And it's short because of the hotel stadium tax rate, Las Vegas poor visitation rate problem I have pointed to consistently since 2017. That's why. All right? That's why the Raiders had to turn around and say, we can't keep Amari Cooper. That's why the Raiders had to turn around and say, we can't keep Khalil Mack. Because they had the stadium expense that they didn't have before. You can't say, and I don't care what people say, because there's some people say, well, you know, owning an NFL team is like printing money. People who say that kind of stupid. Look, yeah, from the standpoint of the S&P 500, there are few, if any, investments that outperform owning an NFL team. But you got to be able to afford the team, first of all. But that's also over a long term. Like buying the Dallas Cowboys for $150 million and then seeing them grow to their current value of somewhere around $5 billion. And we'll go to around $10 billion in about, I would say, 10 years. All right. J-Dub says, does the stadium expense affect cap space? The stadium expenses don't directly affect cap space at all. They indirectly affect it because for the pay-go period, all right, where the Raiders had to pay out of pocket, they had to say, okay, if we're suffering a deficit in all other areas, and we have this money, we have to preserve the contingency above that money. It's not so much the cap itself, but it's the contingency above it. If your contingency is at zero, you have to start making adjustments. You have to start making cuts. All of the Raiders' personnel payments are not within the cap. Some of the contracts, like, for example, for Sebastian Janikowski, were contracts that are off cap. Now, while we don't know exactly what those are, you can tell by inference, by action. They cut him. They couldn't afford him. Consider all the cuts the Raiders were making last year. I mean, it was complete bloodletting. And it wasn't just because John wanted to come in and, you know, hey, make his mark. I think if left his own devices, John would have liked to retain the Raiders that were cut. But the two Marks came in and said, hey, look, we got a money issue here. And turned around and said, hey, you know what? You start making cuts here, Reggie. We could get some cap space here. We'll work on shoring up our Las Vegas money problems. We'll get more sponsorships. And again, I've always said that the relative amount of money that's coming in is greater than anything the Raiders have had in their history. And J-Dub says, very good explanation. Thank you. Hey, Sean Growing, how you doing? And Arquette says, they can't handle the truth. You've been saying this all day from day one. Yeah, I have. And not only that, I've tried to provide fixes and suggestions. When I was at the party at CES, where I saw Jerry Jones and talked with Jerry, and I'll see Jerry at the NFL owners meeting. By the way, I got to wrap this up because I got to get back up. We've got the NFL owners meeting preview at 10 o'clock Eastern. So you come back and join me. But my point is that when I was there and I was talking with Elliot McCabe, who was the representative from Bank of America that does the line of credit deal for the Raiders, same as he's done for the Falcons and other NFL teams. And then, as I was talking to him, Dan Ventrelli, the Raiders attorney, hi, Dan, if you're watching, comes up and, comes between us. And I said, I didn't miss a beat. I said, hey, you know what? you need to reinstall the tax increment financing provision that was originally in the Stadium Authority legislation, because that way, if you had it in place now, you'd be able to take advantage of the growing property values around you in the form of increment revenue that you could use for infrastructure financing that doesn't have to come out of your pocket. The Stadium Authority could do that. When the idea, you would say, what are you talking about, Zinni? Okay. The original Las Vegas Stadium Authority legislation under the Southern Nevada Tourism Infrastructure Committee, which produced the Southern Nevada Tourism Investment Act, all right, was to have in it a provision such that if you and I sat on the board as developers, there would be a 25-mile radius around the stadium where we could pick and choose any area we wanted to designate as for the collection of property tax revenue for tax increment. Any one within, I mean, I'm not kidding you. Thus producing what would have been the most powerful stadium authority ever conceived of, developed. But they took it off. Why? It wasn't for power reasons. It was for reasons of politics and elections and money. That is, hey, we're capping our public contribution to 39%. If we do this, we go over. So Sisolak, who wanted to be governor and is now governor, felt, I can't support that. So it came out. It should be brought back in, because if it's brought back in, guess what? The project's liquidity, the amount of cash available to build off-site infrastructure improvements and parking increases dramatically, and is far less likely to have to come out of the Raiders' pocket. Okay? And then not only that, it takes advantage of a situation where you've had, look, an acre of land around the Las Vegas Strip ballooning from originally at one point $1.8 million an acre to now it's about just north of $3.1 million an acre. Think about that. In 3 years, roughly. That's pretty good. Do they get a chance to take advantage of that? No. So I'm saying this to McCabe and Ventrelli, and McCabe is going, it's simple logic. I'm not coming up with anything BS. It's just simple logic, folks. I mean, come on. What the frick is going on? Oh, man. Anyway, J-Dub says, asks, do you know anything about when the Raiders will officially announce the renewal for Oakland? That's done. That is all over today. I'll put out something under separate cover. In fact, Scott McKibben texted me. Thank you very much, Scott. And he said, and I quote, City Council approved it unanimously. Larry Reed asked that I make a brief presentation, which I did. Only 3 harmless questions, and they voted. All went well. I gave a thumbs up. And I said, onward, next steps, naming rights, indoor football league, a stadium, plenty to say, grace over. So there you go. Ramon Garcia asks, he says, well, at this point, all that matters is they finish the stadium. If it is a delay, I'd rather it be delay, let it be done right. That's it. I know it's a financial expense, but it's a business politics. And Ramon, I think that's my point, all right? I'm not against the project. What's done is done. Proper adjudication in court between the city of Oakland and the NFL and the Raiders, yes, all right? Because there's some ugly stuff that happened that needs to be worked out. But that's over there. Over here is the fact that Las Vegas has always deserved an NFL team. And now we'll have one. And I'm excited to see how that works in the Las Vegas environment. I'm not going to lie to you. People don't like that I say that. Sorry. Okay? But my point is, what are you going to do? Okay, let's look at the options. You say, oh, I hate them. I don't want to see the games. But then at some point, you're going to be compelled to at least look. You can't help it. All right? So there's that. And then you say, well, I'm not going to watch the NFL anymore. But then you get invited to a Super Bowl party, and guess what? You wind up watching the NFL. There's the bottom line is simply this: the best solution for those who feel the way I just described is court. And the people who are angry that I take the view that I do, I've got a business to run, and I like my business to be with the league. All right, that's my choice, and I really don't like the fact that there are people who I just met about a year and a half ago who suddenly feel like they need to have some sort of control or bullying over what I do with my business that I've built since 1995 and in earnest since 2005 and then 2010. They were never around. Some of these people had views of me. I never even met them. One person, I'm not even going to name, comes up to me at a speech. Oh, we didn't like you first. Now we like you. Okay. Then this person was a friend, and they took to not being a friend anymore because, well, we don't like that. It's always something little. Kids stuff. On a par I have never seen adults act like. Ever. All right? Ever. Okay? The people that I'm talking to you about, whose names I'm not using, should be proud of the fact that they got a lawsuit. The lawsuit is active. And we all came together to help make that happen. But that's in its place. As a fan of sports stadiums in the NFL, I want to see Las Vegas Stadium happen. I think it's exciting. I really do. Do I wish it were in Oakland? Yeah, but it's not. And even if Oakland had its stadium going in, still should build one, it doesn't mean that I'm not excited for Las Vegas Stadium. I love Las Vegas. I've had a love affair for Las Vegas that goes back a long way. You blame my mom and her love for Frank Sinatra when I was little and all the Rat Pack and all that stuff. It's there. And hey, brother, I love it. Okay? And that's to you folks out there who keep saying that I hate Las Vegas. Stop it. All right. J-Dub says, I'm heartbroken that we're leaving the town again. I agree. For the second time in my life, but I couldn't ever jump ship nor not support them. Yeah. Ramon Garcia says, sounds like the President of the United States. Me? Black Lion says, the love for the Oakland Raiders is overwhelming. It is. It's, and is it going to be the same organization? No, not at all. Same fan base? No, not at all. They're richer. They're people we don't know. They're fair weather fans, okay? They're going to be a lot more of the opposition in that stadium. It's going to be way different than the Coliseum. And so in that, I say this. There's opportunity to build that brand again. Maybe it won't look like the old Raiders, but it's still there, okay? It's still there. Ramon Garcia says, no, the people you're talking about, you, not you. Gotcha. J-Dub says, it's funny. I've been to Iraq and Afghanistan 4 times, but never to Vegas. What? J-Dub, first of all, J-Dub, I have to say this. Thank you for your service to our country. Okay. Really, okay? That's what I want to say. Thank you for your service to our country. Joseph, you're going to say something, but I don't get that with this. Any thoughts before I sign off and get ready to, for tomorrow? Because I've got tomorrow, got to go take care of stuff with my mom, get ready for, yeah. And, Black Lion, I'm not going to Vegas. Oh, I'm sorry. Black Lion saying that. I'm sorry. Black Lion Supreme is saying, J-Dub says, funny, he's been to Iraq and Afghanistan 4 times, but never to Vegas. And Black Lion is saying, oh, wow, you have to go to Vegas. I was just out there. Yeah, I got to go to Vegas. Joseph Armendariz says, I was just trying to respond to J-Dub. I felt the same way as a kid when they went back to Oakland. It took me a while to get over, but I think those are just normal feelings. Yeah. Chris Gang says, Oakland don't want to contribute to the Raiders. That's half dirt, feels dangerous. That's not true, Chris. They had a plan. And see, I'm glad you said that because Larry Reed said it best. And I've shown it here before. You're new. The Raiders and the city of Oakland had a plan. The Raiders had a plan for the stadium. They wanted to look like they showed that plan, that drawing to Scott McKibben and to Claudia Capio, who is at that time the point person for the city in the city administrator's office. That was in 2016. Those drawings were covered up and they were not presented until 2018 on the site of Mies Architects, MEIS Architects, out of New York. All right. So there's a cover up there. There was a plan, but Mark Davis wanted to pursue sports gambling in Las Vegas, and he covered up that fact for years. Please understand that. All right. Please stop saying the city didn't have a plan. The city did have a plan. The city had contributed money to it. There was $350 million in a public contribution between the city and the county. So what you're saying is 1 billion percent wrong. Okay? Wrong. All right? Wrong. Okay? Wrong. All right? And J-Dub says, thank you, sir. It was an honor to serve. Dave says, Carl will not be in Vegas. Mark my words. It's not looking good. Patrick in Blackman says, it seems like Al left Mark in a mess Mark can't handle. Ramon Garcia says, I met you in Vegas in September so we can talk more about the Raiders. I'd rather meet you in Vegas or meet me. What's going on in September in Vegas? I don't know. You're talking about somebody else. Oh, you mean me in Vegas in September? I'm not going to be in Vegas in September. I'll be in Vegas for CES, but September, get that out of your mind. I don't know where you're getting that from. Eric Young says, too many people, just like Chris saying things like that, just adding insult to injury. Chris Gang says, that's why the Warriors leave. Marshawn Lynch said it himself. So, just because Marshawn Lynch says something doesn't mean he understands it. He doesn't. If Marshawn wants to know the truth, he can talk to me. I know the truth. I lived it. I'm older than he is. I've been in that. I was in that area. There are areas of Oakland that I have been responsible for. He doesn't know I did it. Have Marshawn call me. I'm delighted to talk with him. We both are Cal Go anyway. We ought to be talking to each other. Black Lion says, exactly, that's why it's not over. When the lawsuit begins, we will all see that. Thank you. Dave Shaw says, don't ignore me. I can see you with my drone through your window. Fuck you. Ramon Garcia keeps saying, yes, you. Ramon, if you keep saying yes, me one more time, I'm gonna ban you. I'm gonna ban your IP address too, which I happen to have. So knock it off, okay? It's not a matter of you. Get out. In fact, you know what? Heck with it. Get out of here, man. I don't want to deal with this stuff. I'm tired of this crap. You're out. Go. Scram. Jeez, I'm tired of this stuff. Willie Wokzini, I see no bias in you terms of information provided us Raider fans, just facts. Some people can't handle the truth. Thanks, Willie. Appreciate it. And here's the thing. I want the Raiders to do well. If I didn't, like I was trying to tell Mark Davis, the Lee Steinberg party, he's trying to get in an argument with me. I'm not going to argue with the man in public. It's ridiculous. He says, Patrick and Blackman says, I once said when you went back to Oakland, he devalued the team. I want to see where he actually said that. Ramon Garcia says, I go to Mr. Olympia, the bodybuilding. I thought you lived in Vegas. No, I do not live in Las Vegas. No. So, yeah, there you go. I don't live in Las Vegas. However, you mentioned Mr. Olympia. I'm a big fan of women's bodybuilding. So I'd love to see that, but I don't have that on my schedule to go to. I went to women's bodybuilding contest. This was a long time ago, 2005, 6, in July. And I forgot what it was called. Okay. All right, Dave, I got you. Patrick and Blackman says, I'll try to get the article when you said that. Yeah, please do. Yeah, cool. Yeah, please do. Thanks, Dave. Appreciate that, man. I mean, you have to understand it from my end. I get some crazy stuff that happens from time to time, so I have to be vigilant when necessary. So I understand. But all right. But yeah, as far as that, yeah. So phew, all right. Moving forward, we are been on for 39, 40 minutes. All right, I have got to skedaddle. Any last words? But yeah, I'm glad to get that out there because it's a matter of getting it right. It really is, and I'm certain Don Webb agrees that. Hey, Joe, thank you, and I'm certain Don Webb agrees with that statement. And if it's to the point where it's finished in 2021, okay, fine. Now, I do believe. Now you have to remember something else too. Let's before I close, I'm gonna have a little fun here. Let's think the unthinkable. Let's say that for some reason something happened that added an additional 300 million to the project cost. Would that cause the Raiders to consider having to stay in Oakland? And my answer to that would be it depends on the circumstances leading to that development. It depends on the circumstances leading to that development. And that is a very outlier scenario, okay? Which I don't see coming to pass because there is one person in the face of Jerry Jones that has advocated, not only advocated what is transpiring now in terms of supporting the relocation, but having his business tentacles involved in it, and therefore a sunk investment he doesn't want to lose. But having said that, and given the history of some projects in Las Vegas, like for example, the what was once called the Fontainebleau, you have to hold out the outside possibility that that could happen. Not just the Fontainebleau, but also the Faraday Futures project. You're saying, what is that? Faraday Future was this electric car plant, electric car maker that was supposed to have this plant in Nevada, and it never had the finance. They said they had the financing line late, all confirmed and everything, right? And it turned out, according to Dan Schwartz, who was the treasurer for the state of Nevada at the time, that wasn't true. They didn't have it. It was smoke and mirrors. It was nothing there. So it was never built. The hotel that Fontainebleau ran afoul of the market. Wasn't able to pay its bonds. And so it sat there unfinished for years. I mean, just a giant thing in the middle of the strip, middle of Las Vegas, excuse me. Now it's the Dre, and it's undergoing construction and everything else. But look how long it's taken. It's taken almost a decade. So I'm saying that given Las Vegas history, that scenario, given Las Vegas history, the current delays, the revenue problems with the bond issue, all right, the fact that the Raiders haven't lined up $1 billion in sponsorships, all of those scare the heck out of me. This problem is by no means in the black and on its way. It's on its way, but it's along a path that is already perilous and fraught with even more peril. So that's why I hold out what would seem to be thinking the unthinkable. But when you think about the history of Las Vegas, it becomes thinkable, possible, albeit remote. All right. So, Patrick, my email is zenny@zenny62.com. Now, if you're talking about my PayPal link, that's this for PayPal. I'm not sure if that's what you're talking about or not, but PayPal, whichever you may be speaking of. Trying to wait. Well, while I wait for that to open, we put that aside while that's opening. Go here. David Slosh says, "I will say this: when they're gone, it will be sad. When I can't get on bar on a cold winter day from Concord and see my team, it'll be very sad." Yeah. Ed Marshall says, "How many of those projects had bond sales that established funds that were already set aside?" I think you're missing the point about bonds and established funds and already set aside. The nature of a bond is that you're bonding against a revenue stream that you're collecting over time. It's not that you have the money set aside already. And Ed, what you're thinking about, and you're making a mistake on, is that there's two parts to this deal. There's PAYGO. And if you go back and you look at the original SNTIC presentation, the PAYGO calculations for collection of revenue were almost double what actually came in. That is the problem. The consultants told the raters, and I wrote about this a long time ago. I said, you know what? The SNTIC gave the raters a gift by saying, hey, you know what? All right. No, Ed, you need more than SB1. You need to see don't be a smart aleck. All right? Don't be a smart aleck, because I don't want to deal with it. All right? I know this better than you do. Okay? So if you want to play that game, get out of here. I don't have time right now. I'm on a clock. Let me tell you something. Go back and look at July 8th. Okay? Look, Ed, stop and listen. I'll explain to you. Okay? Go back and look at the presentation from July 8th. 2016, all right, and then May, and then also September 8th as well. All the PDFs, go back and do search SNTIC presentation PDF, so you get the files, download those PowerPoints and read them. Some of them are long, okay, multiple presentations, but what you're looking for are the ones that refer to the PAYGO fund. That PAYGO fund in those presentations is double what actually came in. You want to look at actually came in, all you got to do is look at, well, they tell you, the SNTIC, the Stadium Authority tells you what the PAYGO is. That money from the hotel tax revenue is the PAYGO. All the way up until December of last year was PAYGO. In other words, the Raiders are collecting it. Compare what the consultants told them with what actually came in. And you calculate the difference, and you'll find, as I did, that there was a shortfall. Everything that I'm saying are things that you can discover. This is the internet, man. This is the internet. And what's happened in society is the destruction of investigative journalism, which is what's happened. I'm not a journalist. I'm a blogger. I'm a urban planning guy. I'm not a journalist. All right. So my point is, the numbers they released today, if you're talking about that PDF, let me get to that in a second. All right. Hold that right here. All right. My point is that when you compare the numbers and know which numbers you're comparing, because now you can present it 3 different examples. You didn't really realize it, did you? All right. Look at the original PAYGO estimates by the consultants from 2016 and compare them with the stream. The stream is right there on that document you referred to. The latest one only goes to January, and it posits the smallest. And remember, that is and here's where you get confused, all right? You think the Stadium Authority budget is the bond issue. It's not. How many times do I have to frickin' say that? That is not the bond issue, okay? The bond issue has a schedule. It's on page 36. If you go to Oakland News Now, type Las Vegas Stadium Authority bond, all right? Look at the document. There's actually a link to it. And on page 36 of the PDF, the actual bond schedule for the Clark County Stadium Authority is right there. The annual bond debts for the 30 years. All you have to do is take that debt estimate, multiply it times the debt coverage ratio of 1.5 to 1 to get what is owed for that year. All right. Then you could take that, divide that by 12 for what's already come in, and say, hey, look, how does that compare with what's coming in? Okay. And this dude is driving me nuts. The bonds are already sold. They're paid on scheduled times. Dude, the bonds have to be paid. All right. Will you start asking questions and stop acting like you know? Because you type this stuff and I'm like, you're giving me a headache, man. Those bond issues have to be paid. Just like you get a loan, you have to pay it back, right? It's a general obligation bond. A general obligation bond is something that is paid out of a general fund. The general fund comes from the property taxes of Clark County. It means the taxpayers are already on the hook. So guess what? If the stadium authority stadium hotel tax revenue is not enough, they can easily dig into another fund to pay the difference. Learn what you're talking about, because you don't. Jeez. You know? Okay. And the reason I did that is because I like to explain this, but I've explained it over and over and over again. All right? Over and over and over again. So it would be cool to just simply not have that person around. He's been here before. All right? But I don't want him back. The only reason I don't is because I've been through this again and again and again. And I would rather open this up to people who are willing to advance the discussion rather than just for the sake of playing around, because that person really isn't who they say, all right? Rather than make room for that person. But I love the fact that I was able to say it that way so that people will get it. This is the internet. There is no excuse for not knowing this stuff. And the simple fact that we're at a level in society where people don't want to do homework, it gives us a society that has Boeing 737 MAX with 2 crashes and almost 300 people killed from an airline that I personally would never associate with that kind of problem. And Boeing ought to be ashamed of itself for allowing itself to be at the center of that. But that comes from not a society that doesn't want to do its mental homework. So you think this is funny? No, 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 no. This is tragic. It's the death of competence. By people who don't want to work to make sure they have their I's dotted and their T's crossed. All right? That should be a concern to everybody. Okay? Oh, Chris Gang says, Raiders and Rams cities issues alike? Yes, they are. Yes, they are, Chris. Chris says, both teams facing lawsuits in their cities. Yeah, absolutely. But my point is, that's how we got the MAX. And do you realize that Boeing had as an option the air safety devices that would have prevented that? But they wanted you to pay for it. It wasn't so much that Boeing had that option, but that management said that was okay. We've reached a place in society where in this age of I call it the post-specialization age, right? Black Lives as well. Yeah. What I mean by that is the age of specialization was, okay, you go out and you get a master's degree in MBA in business, right? Or you're a specialist in HTML programming or C++. You get the idea, right? And now we're beyond the age of specialization, to where we have this age of hyper specialization. People have this little niche that they know. There's a lot more to know. And so because there's a lot more to know, there are a lot of mistakes to be made unless you get the specialist that knows. But what if you don't and you try to fake it? Because you're under a time crunch. Because you have management over your head saying, do something. Because you have a boss that wants something done on time. So then you get situations like, well, the 737 MAX, or you get a situation like the Raiders trying to rush a project. And Steve Hill saying, hey, look, we're going to get all these documents approved in 5 months. He didn't do that in 5 months. Okay? He needed a year because it took him a year. He thought he was going to do it in 5 months. It took him a year. And that pushed everything else back. Then they were supposed to get the bond issue off in January of 2018. They didn't get off until April. That got pushed back. So you can't push all this stuff back and then expect to rush the construction project and tell people, we'll have your PSLs for 2020. No. You produce a lot of danger and damage that way. You hurt a lot of people that don't need to be hurt because you're not telling the truth. Okay? And Eric Young says that right there needs to stop. Exactly. 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 Because I look around society and I see all these examples, and my mom and I look at this, we're like, what the heck is going on? We have established institutions. We expect to act better. And yet we got a guy at the helm. I don't care how you feel about him, but the fact of the matter is he's anti-institution. We have an anti-institutionalist running a major institution, the United States of America. And none of us are concerned about it. You ought to be very concerned about it. You have a person who doesn't care about government and doesn't like government running government. So the specialists were taken out, right? And derided. Now we have a non-specialist who doesn't know, he's just sort of doing stuff. Whew, man. Wow. Okay. And this from a guy, me, who tried out to be on The Apprentice. Keep that in mind. So it's not a hatred thing, but it is a love for my institution, my country. America has always been associated with technical, managerial, and engineering competence. My point is, we have allowed that to erode to places I've never seen in my entire life. It has nothing to do with inclusion or diversity. You have some very smart people who my color or different sex. That's not the issue. For those of you who might be thinking that, no, that is crazy to think that. It's because of these devices. It's because of how we've sped up society. It's how we've engineered anxiety in society with social media and everything else. We need to do full stop and say, what the heck is going on here? And then fix it. What we used to fix things, okay? Fix it. So fix the Vegas project. Get this thing right. As I said before, if you're going to take football away from Oakland, at least do it with shock and awe. At least do it where someone like me or you or anybody else says, whoa, okay, Mark, I get it. Whoa. But right now, we're not saying whoa. We're like, you did what this time? No. Get it right. Get it right. Jeez. Black Lion says, steel's covered in dirt. He says, yes, the president has become a clown show, sadly. Eric Young says, get things done right the first time, even if it might take a little longer. Saving many lives equals priceless. Eric Young, I could not have said it better. Nick Torrey says, for real. That's all I'm saying. Make something we love. I mean, there is not a person who would not love to see a Las Vegas stadium done right, done well, cool amenities with, like I thought having David Beckham involved or having all these cool, high-end, new Raider Nation approaches and everything, high tech. You can imagine having Apple involved and having all these different tech companies and all these possibilities. When you're in business, you can do that. But what do we have? We have Jerry Jones really basically running the Raiders in this case. Jerry Jones is a very smart man. It's sad, I hate to see this thing go this way. It could go a lot better for a lot of people. It's just not done right. A lot of people deserve better. The Morris Bradshaws of the world, a lot of really good people. Cheryl Nichols. They all deserve to see something done. If you're gonna put them through this, at least do it right. I'm talking. These are old time. These are old standing Raider people, okay, who are friends. Do it right. It's not cool. All right. Nick Torres says, agreed. More people would take a trip to Las Vegas to watch a game. Eric Young says, get it right and do it in Oakland. Hey, Chris Yang says, Mark only worth $500 million. Well, no, he's worth more than that now. He's building a home in Las Vegas, Black Lion says, yes, if they were creating something they couldn't do in Oakland, but that's not the case. Right. In fact, Black Lion, that's the best comment of the night, because consider this. You have, sports gambling still is not legal yet, but we have this creeping, seemingly inexorable path toward legalization, right? And one could argue, hey, if the Raiders just stayed in Oakland, just worked out the plan that was formed there, they could still take advantage of sports gambling and gaming and sponsorship that's allowed. That's true. That just opens up a market for somebody else. But my point is, what Mark Davis said at the CES meeting sticks in my head. And that was genius. And what he said was this. It's about activation. And you point out to the Strip, because we were 64 stories up. If you've never been to the Skyfall Lounge, you got to check it out. Oh, gorgeous place. But he's pointing out, and he goes, it's about activation. In other words, what he means by that is, the marquee Las Vegas signs where you have the the Sands is feeling, the Sinatra on the rap. You've seen all those signs, right? Those are activations. They're talking to you about what you're going to see. Well, those are activations for the Raiders. All those abilities to market the brand out there in an unprecedented way. Now, my argument is, if he had used my hotel plan with the kind of idea that I had set up, you could have kind of replicated that on a smaller scale, but I digress. He is right. Vegas provides that. It really does. Let's see how that works. Eric Young says, so Jerry Jones equals new Al Davis. Yes. Eric Young says that part. Got it. Yep. Black Lives Matter says facts. Thank you. So you guys, thanks a lot. I got to head out. And thank you all very much. And thank you for hanging in there with me. And see you in the morning. Yeah, Patrick in Blackness said it. Jerry is Al Davis with money. Got it. Yeah, he's got a $250 million yacht. All right. See everybody. Thank you so much. See ya. Good night. See ya.